What fact sounds fake at first but is actually real? Jack the Ripper was still active when Nintendo was founded. Orcas are a natural predator to moose. There isn't a single bridge across the Amazon River. One 10-inch pizza is more pizza than two 7-inch pizzas. When compasses were first used on ships, sailors were afraid of them because they thought it had evil powers. Compasses were stored in boxes called a binnacle. The guy who sang Peanut Butter Jelly Time died in a police shootout. Also, his brother-in-law was there trying to talk him out of shooting himself. You know who that stepbrother was? Fucking Snoop Dogg. Pocahontas and Shakespeare lived during the same time. Chickens are one of many species of birds that don't have penetrative genitalia. Reed cocks are cockless. The method of reproduction they use is commonly called a cloacal kiss, and you can think of it as chicken scissoring, because bumping holes is the grossest possible way to phrase chicken sex. Also, chickens are not a flightless species like lots of people think and are generally totally capable of short flight. Netflix was founded before Google. On average, Mercury is the closest planet to Saturn. Lyrebirds' imitations will seriously sound exactly like the thing they're trying to imitate. If they imitate a chainsaw, you will think it's a chainsaw. It sounds like a perfect recording. Every Canadian is allowed to get a free Canadian flag from the government. However, if you ordered a flag today, you would get it in about 110 years. There used to be a species of parrot native to what is now Kentucky and Tennessee. A typical cumulus cloud actually weighs 1 million pound 498,951 kilograms. It takes 2 years for a pineapple to grow. In a room of just 23 people, there's a 50-50 chance of at least 2 people having the same birthday. A common ingredient in chemotherapy is horse sperm, of course listed under some long medical term. I used to deliver 100 lb tubes of it to companies that make the drugs. There are more people on Earth than rats. You can fit all the planets in our solar system touching end to end between Earth and the Moon. During the Cold War, the US had an idea to drop XL condoms labeled medium all over Russia to make them think they are more manly. During World War II, the Polish army had a brown bear in their ranks. The bear was really helpful to the force, particularly for carrying heavy artillery. The Panama Canal runs primarily north-south. The entire state of Wyoming only has 2 escalators. A Russian luxury SUV manufacturer attempted and failed to use whale penis skin for their SUV interiors. Distance from USA to Russia 4 kilometers. This fact is always amusing. El Paso, Texas is closer to Los Angeles than it is to Beaumont, Texas. Stop signs used to be yellow. In 1922, the American Association of State Highway Officials met to determine a standard design for stop signs. And that's where they decided on the color yellow, because they thought that would grab drivers' attention. They'd also considered red, but there was no dye available at the time that wouldn't eventually fade. By 1954, sign makers had access to fade-resistant porcelain enamel, and could finally start making stop signs the red color recognized today. A bunch of pissed-off Scots who hated the way England played rugby is why we have the quarterback position in American football. Edit. Adding for relevant history, both the Cal and Stanford University football teams we know today played the New Zealand All Blacks in rugby during the 1910s. A lot of the earliest war gods were actually goddesses. People in Europe feared the tomato for over 200 years because they thought eating it would kill them. It was even nicknamed the poison apple. Dinosaurs never ate grass because it didn't exist yet. The Nazis were the first ever people in modern history to start an anti-smoking and tobacco movement. Or being from Scotland, and finding out the national animal is the unicorn. Humpty Dumpty was never an egg. There is no mention of him being an egg in the rhyme at all. It is believed that Humpty Dumpty was actually a cannon on a wall, which was destroyed. There was a USA Gov program to communicate with dolphins while under the influence of LSD. One young female researcher actually used her hands to sexually pleasure a dolphin during that program. Echidnas have a four-pronged penis. The US and Russian military employ dolphins as part of their marines. Male giraffes will headbutt a female in the bladder until she urinates. Then it tastes the pee to help it determine whether or not the female is ovulating. President Coolidge got sent a raccoon for Thanksgiving one year. But instead of eating it, he granted it a pardon because it was cute. The U.S. government kidnapped and experimented on its own population, but the United Kingdom once indirectly funded an invasion of itself. Because the number of possible combination of genes isn't infinite, there are probably at least 7 humans that looks the same as you. Over 56,000 people died during WW2. The United States has no federal law that forbids owning a tiger. The average density of the universe is 1 proton in 3 cubic meters and the average temperature is 273 Kelvin. There is a city in Turkey called Batman. The yearly risk in the U.S. of dying from a shark bite is around 1 in 250 million and the yearly risk of dying from a vending machine accident is roughly 1 in 112 million. Therefore, vending machines are about twice as deadly as sharks. Bad ants don't take fall damage. Edit. Who knew a comment about ants would be my top comment? Thank you, kind stranger, for the gold. Atlanta is closer to the Canadian border than it is to Miami. The Ethiopian calendar is 7 years behind the rest of the world. Edit. Yeah guys, it's still 2013 there. Koalas are born with chlamydia. It's not an STD for them though. There are more trees on Earth than there are stars in our galaxy. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the invention of the iPhone than the construction of the Great Pyramid. Or that 1980 was 40 years ago. Edit. For clarification, pumpkins are rarer than diamonds in Minecraft. It takes about 3 to 4 generations before your entire existence is completely forgotten. Assuming you don't invent the cure for cancer or discover the 5th dimension or anything like that. It is unhealthy to have low cholesterol in your body. Cholesterol helps to fight disease as well as feeds the brain. It's been proven that older people with a higher cholesterol count are actually more healthy than those who are deficient. Personally, I thought it was the opposite for so long. Only recently did I learn this. The founders of Adidas and Puma are brothers, and their HQs are literally next door to each other in Germany. Astronomer here. The coldest place we know of in the universe is actually on Earth. To explain further, the coldest places we know of that naturally occur in the universe are inside dark nebulae with little to no star formation, and thus no starlight to heat things up. The coldest one known so far is the Boomerang Nebula, where the temperature has been measured as low as 1 degree above absolute zero, -272 degrees Celsius or -458 degrees Fahrenheit. However, we regularly get below this temperature in labs on Earth. Specifically, absolute zero is at -273.15 degrees Celsius or -459.67 degrees Fahrenheit, and labs on Earth regularly get to within a tenth or even a hundredth of a degree of that. Pretty cool. If Titanic had had more lifeboats on board, more people would have died. There are lots of unique factors that go into this, but the simple version is there was no time. Titanic's crew acted incredibly quickly as soon as it was known the ship had no chance of surviving. Preparing these massive, heavy lifeboats for launch and lowering them takes a lot of time and effort. Despite their efforts, the last 2 lifeboats were floated off deck. They needed every available second to launch the boats they did have. Titanic had no time to launch more lifeboats. If there had been more boats on board, they would have been stacked, which would have added time to the already laborious and lengthy preparation and launch of the boats. They also would have been stored on deck, which would have added to an already crowded, chaotic scene the night it sank. Check out my subreddit RRMS_Titanic. More people suffer from the fear of balloons than fear of cockroaches. Disney is the second largest buyer of explosives in the world. My dad is gay. That fact sounded especially fake to my mom after 20 years of marriage. Literally any fetish. You hear about it, your gut says no way is that real. And then you find it's very real. In all technicality, the last Roman emperor died in the 20th century, as the rulers of the Ottoman Empire took the title when they conquered Byzantium. The average amount of arms humans have is less than 2. Joseph Stalin was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize twice. On average, Mercury is the closest planet to Earth. The same fact also applies if you switch out Earth for any other planet in the solar system. There was a week in American history where Tim Allen had the #1 film, TV show, and book, that the atom in your body other than hydrogen were formed in stars that died long ago. An octopus has blue blood. The combined weight of all the ants on the planet is greater than all the humans. Ancient sailors believed that cats were magic and would often risk their own lives, even in an every man for himself situation, to save a cat from a sinking ship. All ships had at least one ship's cat, as cats would eat the rats that have always plagued ships. The ship's cat would often be given a rank, and sailors would generally take excessively good care of their cats. If you folded a piece of paper 42 times, it would reach to the moon. A squirrel's brain will grow in spring so it can remember where it put these nuts. When large ships were first sailed through electrical storms, they would sometimes see a blue glow at the top of their mast. There was no lightning, and though it meant they were cursed. The previous owner of the company Segway died from driving a Segway off a cliff. AKA, 9 repeating is exactly equal to 1. https://n. Wikipedia. Org. Wiki. 0.999. It is estimated viruses kill about 50% of ocean biomass every 4 days. IDK if this is already here. But Greenland extends further north, west, east, and south of Iceland. Cheetahs can't roar. They meow like house cats. It's common for completely healthy men to ejaculate blood at least once in their life. Wombats poop cubes. The 10th President of the U.S., John Tyler, 1790 to 1862, has 2 living grandchildren. Lego is the largest producer of tires in the world. I haven't checked since a couple months ago, but at the beginning of the year there was a person alive who was older than the airplane. Not the modern airplane, but the first Wright brothers plane to take flight at all. There is no date between the 3rd of September 1752 to the 13th of September 1752. Check out the September calendar of 1752. 11 days are missing in the calendar. This is due to the fact that we converted our calendar from Julian to Georgian calendar on 2nd of September 1752. There are more tigers in captivity in America than in the wild. There are more combinations of a standard 52 deck of playing cards than grains of sand on Earth. Tomato sauce was sold in the 1800s as medicine, and that a donkey will sink in quicksand, but a mule won't. That Neil deGrasse Tyson himself said that the theory that can't be disproved that scares him the most is that if you break down our reality down to its smallest construct, it is found to be binary code, which is the language that computers speak. This means that it is very possible that our entire reality is the product of a computer simulation.